Hello and welcome to another Stormgate video. As you can see, probably the last one until the new patch hits. As you can see in the title, I will not be playing any Stormgate despite the update. I'll talk about it here in this video, why that is the case. I'll be talking about the last videos quickly, about some comments. I'll be showing you what's bothering me in the game. And yeah, I'm basically gonna summarize it in like 2 reasons. You can go ahead and just jump into the description. There's timestamps to see what I'm going to be talking about. And yeah, maybe you're just interested in, I don't know, like the hotkeys, for example, is going to be one topic about this video. That sort of thing. So let's get started. So first of all, about my last video. So I'm making this video because I saw some comments. First of all, very nice that you guys comment so much about the game. I see a lot of feedback. I see that a lot of people also think, like for example in the last video, that the graphics have made great improvements. But I've seen also some confusing comments like, oh, but they implemented hotkey modifiers, or however they call it. You can customize your hotkeys, yada yada. They didn't quite understand what I was talking about when I said like, oh, I'm not playing because of hotkeys. That's what we're gonna have a look at as well. But briefly, I just wanna say one more time, because some people even wrote like, oh, is this guy being paid because he's like talking so positively there all of a sudden about the graphics? No. Credit is where credit is due. I did not expect the changes. I honestly think the game looks fantastic, like, or the improvement is fantastic, let's say. It might not look like the best game ever, obviously, but the only thing that I said in my last video about the graphics is I really like them. I think they did a great job in such a short amount of time. They delivered like a great result. And that's basically the only thing I said. Doesn't have to do anything with like my reasoning why I'm not playing this game. Because like in Germany, you would say there's other construction sites that this game has. Yeah, I mean, they did a good job. I really think so. Great improvements. Graphics look way better than before. If this continues, I'm sure the game will improve. I do believe in it. I think there is room for improvement, and I think after that last patch, they can do it. That was good. So that about my last video. The other video that was not so positive was more about game design. We're also gonna talk about that. But before we talk about game design, let's talk about the hotkeys. So I will once again explain you the 2 reasons why I'm not playing the game. So here, I set up a custom game against the AI. We're just gonna jump in game, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So we're gonna dive into the options in the game, where you can set up your hotkeys. And I mean, you know that if you have already played the game. If you go to the options, there's plenty of choices you have. You can customize your control group. So what is good? Like you can have like all the control group settings like in StarCraft. You have like the camera hotkey settings like in StarCraft. You had add control group. You have like take away from like steal control group with old. That's perfectly fine. That's amazing. That's what it should be. You have like the quick macro that I think is also a great implementation. I just don't use it myself, which is why I don't have it binded. You have the camera locations, very important for RTS as well. It works great. What they did change in the last game, previously you could only set it on like control the camera hotkey. Now you can also set it on like shift, for example. That's what they changed in the last patch. That's what they mean with like hotkey modifiers or whatever they called it. So that is great as well. I have camera hotkeys, I have control groups, I have like the MISC thing, like for example, add idle workers to my control group or select all idle workers. But now we go to the command card. And this is where it is, yeah, where I freak out. Because as you can see, it's basically divided into one grid. You have one command card. And you can only change like the hotkey on that position. But it will like, it's like binded in a way. I'll show you what I mean with that. So let's say I want to change attack move. So let's have a look at the top right side here on my overlay. So attack move is here. This is Q. So let's go to the options again. For me, it's Q. I already binded it to another hotkey. If you didn't change anything, it's A for you. So it's the hotkey here with the Q for me. So here I have command row 2, column 1. That is attack move. So I want to have attack move on T. That is how I play StarCraft. I'm a grid user in StarCraft. I don't want to change it. I just want to have my attack move on T. That's pretty much one example. So I'm gonna set it on T, right? Ignore this thing because I have another hotkey on T. Let's change that for this video. So now I do have my attack move on T. As you can see, it changed. I can now press T and I can attack move. Everything is great, right? Everything is working out. I have my attack move on T. We're happy. No, we're not. Because we don't only change the hotkey for attack move, but also the hotkey for everything else that is like here. And you can see that in the quick building menu. So if, for example, build structure, I now make my command center with T. For example, train units, I now make Bobs, the worker production, with T. Now train units advanced, so like the factory production, or in this case the mech production, it's on T. I built the car, the Hellion Vulture thing. And then upgrades, I don't have anything here on T. And then advanced upgrades is one upgrade on T. But what I'm trying to say is I now have the hotkey what I wanted to have. So I have attack move on T. But I have worker production and command center also on T, which I don't want to have. I want to produce workers on Q. And I want to build a command center on Q. And this is one example. You can take that example like anywhere. With like the same concept. So you select an SCV. How do I get... I can't escape from this menu anymore. There we go. So for example, I want to build my barracks in StarCraft on E. If I put a T on E, then another hotkey will change as well. So for example, on E, I would train Atlas on E. Or I would build the Scout on E. Or that upgrade or whatever. There's many examples like that. It's very small. But I'll tell you, it has a huge impact, at least for me. I really don't like it. It's against my muscle memory. I don't want to change it. I do that for a reason in StarCraft 2. I'm not willing to change that. And I mean, that's obvious because I've been playing StarCraft for over a decade. My muscle memory is not going to change. So that is actually the issue with the hotkeys. It's honestly not a big deal. But I mean, it seems to be very hard to change. I don't know the technical side, so it must be very hard for them to implement that in the game. Otherwise, they would have done it. But like such a small thing in theory, but it has a huge impact. And I think a lot of people can understand that. So this is why I'm not playing, reason number 1. And now we're going to jump on reason number 2. And the reason number 2, I think I've already talked about it a lot in my patch reaction video. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and watch it. I reacted to the September patch. And that is just game design, balance, not necessarily. I don't know much about balance, but I think the balance was pretty bad as well. But it's mainly about game design and the meta in this game. I think I've already talked enough about creeps. Let's not talk about creeps anymore. I've done that plenty already in the last couple of videos, right? So let's not talk about creeps. What I want to talk about is like game design and like what is really the let's call it like the identity of the game, you know? Like in StarCraft, I call myself HeroMarine, named by the Space Marine. Pretty iconic unit in StarCraft, like the Marine, you know? You have like a campaign with like Jim Verena, who's a Marine. I don't know, I've never played campaign. If you want to watch me play the StarCraft campaign, leave a comment as well. But anyways, it's like you have only pretty much iconic units. Like everybody likes the Marine, everybody likes Zealots, Zerglings, you know, cardboard animation. They made like a story out of everything. The little cartoons. Like every StarCraft unit just has like a story. Every StarCraft unit is like something that you can like, let's say, cheer for, that you like just, you can identify it as, it has like some sort of like personality. You like it. This game, and I think with Vanguard, that's especially the case, it doesn't really have that identity. It's just a copy of like StarCraft 2 Terran, in my opinion. Which honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. You can copy just StarCraft. I mean, StarCraft is a great game. But it's just like the lack of identity. There's not a unit that I'm like, oh my god, exos are amazing, I'm gonna call myself Hero Exo. Like, no, like, to me, it's always in the head that, like, the exo, whatever, it's just, like, a copy of the Marine. Even when I'm, like, commentating, I even say, like, oh, I need to build more Marines, and I'm talking about exos, you know? And, or, like, if I build Lancers, I talk about the Terran Zealots or something like that. It has a lot of Warcraft aspects, like the Luminat Mine, or, like, the trees or whatever. It just doesn't feel very, creative in that sense, and it feels like you're playing, and I'm being very harsh here, that's just who I am, that's how I always talk, don't take it too serious, but it feels like I'm playing like some sort of like clone, you know, there's like these Chinese clones of like StarCraft. It really does feel like I'm just playing like a different version of that game, but they are calling like Marines Exos, they're calling like Lancer Zealots, Zealots Lancers, but they are for Terran now. And I mean, look at the units of Vanguard, for example. You have Lancers that are pretty original. Honestly, it's like a Terran Zealot. I like that. The Scout is like sort of like a Reaper, but also like a useless unit. The Marine is like literally from like StarCraft, the Exo. You have the Medic, like you had that in StarCraft 1. You have the Graven, which is like a Ghost. You have the Hedgehog, which is like a Hellion or a Vulture. The Vulcan original, I think that unit is iconic. They did a good job with that unit. I think that's a pretty iconic unit. I like the Vulcan, but that's just the first one. Let's say the second one with the Lancer. I think these two units are really nice. Then you have like a Siege Tank, the Atlas, which is like literally this. It's like, I'm talking about like a Siege Tank and Marine. They're actually like the same, aren't they? Like, they're not original. No, they work the same way like a tank or whatever does. Either way, you have like a Hornet, which is like the Wraith in StarCraft 1. It's also like a flying airplane, paper airplane. You have the Evac, which is just a dropship from StarCraft 1 as well. You have the Sentinel, which is a science vessel. And then you have like the Helicarrier, which is also a StarCraft 1 battle cruiser, isn't it? So like, I'm talking specifically about Vanguard, because I think that's already enough, but you can kind of tell. The Bob's also like the mechanical workers is also like an SCV. You can kind of tell. It is a little bit of like a copy. It's like lack of identity. There's not really a unit that I wouldn't like. I would always just call it like my SCVs here. I would call it like my Marines instead of my Exos, and I feel like that should not be the case, you know what I'm talking about? So that is another reason why I think, or what the game is lacking. That combined with like creeps and stuff, you know, I've already talked a lot about the meta and creeps. Let's not talk about that anymore. I think that is already enough as well. Yeah, like these are my two reasons why I am not playing Stormgate, at least until the next update. Until they change stuff. This is why I'm not going to play the game. These are my two reasons. Graphics are nice. The game looks a lot prettier. I really like the improvement. Credit is with credit due. I like the game in general. I don't think it's like that bad. But yeah, this is why I'm not playing it at the moment. I'm sure I will do it in the future, because I honestly, I think, especially with the graphic update and stuff, I do think they're gonna have some improvements. And I'm looking forward to the future. I'm looking forward to, updating you guys about the current situation. My opinion, especially. This is like, I'm gonna give you my opinion. You can type your opinion in the chat, in the comments. You can we can have a discussion about it in these videos, and I think that's nice. This is also a way for me to give like feedback out there. I'm a little bit of an awkward person as well, like a little bit of a controversial opinion sometimes, let's say. So yeah, tell me what you think, basically. Tell me if you think so as well. Obviously, I just do this as a one take, so take this with a grain of salt, what I say. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Or I see you in the comments. Have a good one. Bye bye. See you next time.